Hey guys, it's Jake Kirkwood with Secure Financial Management, bringing you an economic update where I really want to focus on the number one question we're getting from you all right now, from our clients right now, and that is specifically around a concept called stagflation, right? Now it kind of sounds like a funny name and you might not hear it come up much, or this might be the first time you're even hearing about it. Stagflation is an unusual phenomenon that doesn't come up very much in the economic cycle. I think you're going back to like the 70s before we last experienced a stagflation event. And what's happening when stagflation hits the economy is that you've got persistent inflation, but also weak, no, or negative economic growth at the same time, okay? And why this is unusual is that in general, there's always exceptions, but in general, the way things work is that if you've got inflation, it's usually because of a pretty hot economy. There's money out there, people are doing really well, they're spending it more, there's more demand for goods and services, so it drives prices up, right? When the economy's slow, we're in a recessionary period, typically you don't have that inflation headwind. Well, why? Because people are out of jobs, there's not as much money flowing through the economy, there's not as much demand for goods and services. So it tends to operate in that fashion. That's not the case that happens with stagflation. In stagflation, you've got a really weak economy, an economy that's not growing, or it's growing very little, or maybe it's even slightly negative, but you've got this persistent inflation. And as you can imagine, that's not a good situation to be in, right? You don't want to have a weak economy and also costs and expenses are still going up for people. Now, it doesn't happen often. As I said, it's been, what are we looking at now? Maybe 50 years or so since there's been a stagflation event in the economy. But that question and that concern keeps coming up. And really the concern for that, or the reason that people are concerned about it, is that this recent interest rate increase we've had in a very short period of time, right? Rates have gone up a lot in a very, very short time. Inflation's gotten better, but it hasn't gotten to that 2% target where they need. And the concern is now that we've got these rate cuts coming in, there's still structural issues on the supply side. Things just don't seem to be back to normal, even from COVID, right? The supply chains and everything, they've gotten better, absolutely, but they sure don't seem to be back to where they were before. And you can talk about inflation being caused by different things, whether it's just price gouging and things of that nature from corporations. There might be a bit of that, but there's also structural issues that are driving inflation as well. And those don't seem to be resolved yet, but we've got interest rates that have kicked up to try and help rein in the inflation. And will that slow down the economy over time? Probably. That's kind of what the purpose of it is that we're going to raise interest rates so economic activity slows down in hope that it also cures inflation. That may not be the environment we're in though, right? Could we end up in an environment where we've raised interest rates, we are having that effect of slowing the economy, it's helped inflation, but there's still structural issues that exist that are not going to cure the inflation problem. That's the concern. And if we end up in a stagflationary environment, there are certain areas we need to pivot into with our investments. And that's why it's an important thing to be looking at, and why we're getting questions on it really, and we're keeping an eye on it along with a lot of other people in the industry as well. So guys, as always, none of this should be considered an investment recommendation. If you have specific questions about your own investment portfolio, please give us a call at the office, 210-428-6250. We'd love to speak with you.